While the automotive world is completely consumed by the noise around EVs, hybrids, and futuristic promises, one name has quietly stepped into the spotlight without trying to steal it: the Mazda EZ60, also known as the CX-6e. Didn't arrive with bold claims about changing the world or ending combustion engines forever. There were no dramatic teasers, no endless leaks, and no viral countdowns. And that's exactly why it grabbed attention. Because instead of asking how much screen space or range an electric car should have, Mazda asked a far more uncomfortable question. What if all this technology is slowly killing the feeling of driving? At first glance, the EZ60 looks like just another modern electric SUV. Clean lines, confident stance, nothing outrageous. But that's where most people get it wrong. This car wasn't built to impress on a spec sheet. It was built to make a statement without shouting. While competitors chase software updates, autonomous features, and ever larger displays, Mazda chose to focus on the bond between human and machine. And as details began to surface, industry insiders realized this wasn't just another EV. It was a quiet rebellion to understand why this matters. You have to understand Mazda itself. Mazda Motor Corporation didn't start as a car company chasing trends. Founded in Hiroshima in 1920, Mazda began its journey, making industrial products long before it ever built passenger vehicles. That engineering-first mindset shaped everything that followed. When Mazda entered the automotive world, it didn't try to copy others. It experimented, took risks, and often chose the harder path. The rotary engine is the best example. While most manufacturers avoided it, Mazda leaned in. That decision didn't always pay off financially, but it cemented Mazda's reputation as a company that values feel, balance, and engineering character over mass appeal. Through the decades, Mazda never tried to become the biggest automaker. Instead, it focused on becoming one of the most respected by drivers. Its cars earned a reputation for being engaging, reliable, and honest. Even as the global industry shifted toward convenience and automation, Mazda held on to a simple belief: driving should feel rewarding. That philosophy didn't disappear when EVs arrived. Mazda just waited. While other brands rushed to flood the market with electric models, Mazda took its time. Hybrids came first, then plug-in hybrids. And only after careful observation did Mazda step fully into the EV space. Critics labeled the company as slow, even outdated. But internally, Mazda was watching something important. EV users were starting to complain, not about range or charging speed, but about something harder to measure. The joy was gone. Many electric cars today are undeniably fast. Press the accelerator, and the response is instant. But after the novelty fades, something feels missing. Steering often feels numb. Braking lacks feedback. The car does everything for you, but rarely with you. Drivers started feeling like passengers in their own vehicles. Mazda listened to that frustration, and the EZ-60 is the result. This car is not for people who see EVs as gadgets. It's not designed for those who want to sit back and let the machine do everything. Mazda built the EZ60 for drivers who still want involvement. People who enjoy steering feel predictable, braking, and balance through corners. Commuters during the week, highway drivers on weekends, people who want an EV without surrendering control. That philosophy is visible the moment you look at the design. Unlike many electric vehicles that scream future through sharp edges, exaggerated lighting, and unusual proportions, the EZ-60 takes a calmer approach. The design is mature, confident, and restrained. It doesn't try to prove it's electric. It simply looks like a well-designed SUV, one that will still look appropriate years from now. Long after today's design trends fade, step inside, and the message becomes even clearer. Yes, there are screens. Yes, there is modern technology. But it doesn't overwhelm you. Mazda resisted the urge to turn the cabin into a rolling tablet. Physical controls still exist where they matter most. The driving position feels natural. You don't need a tutorial to operate basic functions. Everything is placed to reduce distraction, not increase it. Mazda believes technology should support the driver, not compete for attention. But the biggest difference lies beneath the surface. Battery technology is where Mazda truly separates itself. In an industry obsessed with range numbers, Mazda refused to join the arms race. Instead of stuffing the biggest possible battery into the car, Mazda focused on balance. A larger battery adds weight. Weight affects braking, handling, and tire wear. Mazda engineers considered all of this together, designing a battery pack that's sized for real-world use, not marketing bragging rights. Weight distribution was critical. The battery is positioned low and evenly within the chassis, keeping the center of gravity balanced. The result is an EV that doesn't feel front-heavy or awkward in turns. This is intentional. Mazda wanted the EZ602 to feel composed, predictable, and confidence-inspiring, even when driven enthusiastically. Thermal management is another area where Mazda took no shortcuts. Heat is one of the biggest long-term enemies of EV batteries. Excessive heat reduces range, slows charging, and accelerates battery degradation. Mazda invested heavily in cooling and temperature control to ensure consistent performance across different climates and driving styles. The goal wasn't to impress on day one. It was to perform reliably after 5 or 7 years of ownership. And this is where the story comes full circle. Because long after the headlines fade and the comparisons stop trending, the real test begins. How does the car age? How does it behave after years of traffic, heat, potholes, and daily use? For most buyers, that answer matters more than launch day hype. And early signs suggest that this is exactly where the Punch strengthens its position even further. Owners aren't talking about specs anymore. They're talking about peace of mind. Fewer surprise expenses, predictable servicing, fuel costs that don't fluctuate wildly week to week. That kind of consistency builds trust, and trust is the most valuable currency in the budget car segment. Once a brand earns it, customers don't easily walk away. What's especially interesting is how this changes expectations for future launches. Buyers will now question every new affordable car announcement. If one company can deliver safety, strength, and low running costs at this price, why can't others? That question will quietly follow every new reveal, every press release, and every promise of innovation. And not every company will have a convincing answer. This also puts pressure on governments and policymakers, whether intentionally or not. As CNG demand rises, infrastructure expansion becomes more attractive. More stations, better availability, smoother adoption. That feedback loop further strengthens the position of vehicles built for today's realities, not just tomorrow's goals. In many ways, this car represents a pause button for buyers. Not a rejection of change, but a reminder that progress doesn't have to feel rushed. People want control over their decisions. They want to move forward without feeling cornered by costs or uncertainty. And when a product respects that mindset, it earns loyalty instead of resistance. The bigger takeaway isn't about one model or one company. It's about alignment. When pricing, technology, safety, and real-world usage line up, the result doesn't need aggressive marketing. It spreads naturally, one driveway at a time, one recommendation at a time. One quiet decision that adds up to something much larger. So, while the industry debates what the future should look like, this car shows what the present actually demands. Practicality over pressure. Value over vanity. Confidence over complexity. And that's why its impact feels deeper than just sales numbers. Sometimes the most disruptive products aren't the ones that promise the future. They're the ones that make today easier. And in doing so, they quietly redefine the road ahead. This philosophy extends to how Mazda talks about range. Instead of inflating numbers achieved under perfect test conditions, Mazda focused on realistic expectations. Traffic, air conditioning, extreme temperatures, mixed driving, real life. The EZ6O is designed so that what's claimed on paper stays close to what drivers actually experience. Mazda believes disappointment kills trust faster than anything else. Charging follows the same logic. Mazda didn't chase the fastest charging headline. Ultra-fast charging looks great in ads, but it can stress batteries over time. Instead, Mazda chose a balanced charging approach that protects battery health while remaining practical for daily use. It's not about winning a race. It's about finishing strong. The impact of this approach could be significant. In markets like the United States, many early EV adopters are now shopping for their second or third electric car. They enjoyed the technology, but they missed driving involvement. The EZ60 offers them an alternative. In Europe, where design and handling still matter deeply, Mazda's understated approach feels refreshingly familiar. Even in China's fast-moving EV market, Mazda's philosophy raises an important question. Is faster always better? Another area where Mazda stands apart is its stance on software dominance. Modern EVs increasingly rely on screens for everything: climate control, mirrors, even basic driving functions. Mazda sees this as a problem. Constant screen interaction increases cognitive load and distracts drivers. With the EZ-60, technology stays in the background. It assists quietly without demanding attention. The car adapts to the driver